Hi everybody, Lori here for Simon Says Stamp. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got a fun, colorful, butterfly themed project to share with you. I'm going to be featuring the Billow Butterfly Plate Wafer Die by Simon Says Stamp. And this is a really fun 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch full cover plate. I'm going to die cut it into a panel of white cardstock. I'm using Hammermill, but any white cardstock will do. You could also die cut this into solid color cardstock. A lot of fun things you can do to customize this. You could back it with acetate and create a shaker. You could blend behind it, like blend up a panel. You could use pattern paper, but I wanted to do something so that each butterfly was a different color. And so first thing, I have a white card base here, and I'm just taping it down with some Easy C tape, just some temporary tape. And then I'm going to tape the cover plate on top of it, or the cover plate die cut. So it makes a little bit of a hinge. I call this the redneck flap technique. And then I'm going to take a bunch of solid color cardstock and kind of trim little rectangles that will fit behind each butterfly opening. Am I crazy? Maybe so, but I was thinking, what if I just cut little slivers of solid color cardstock, a different shade for each butterfly? Now, you might think, oh, Laura, I would never have the patience to do something like this. Well, these are the kind of ideas that get stuck in my head, and I can't let it go until at least I give it a try. Okay, so as you can see, I just started pulling just piles of solid color cardstock. I have a stash that just continues to grow as much as I try to use it all. And this is a great opportunity to use little slivers. So most of this is Simon Says Stamp solid color cardstock. A little bit of it is Concord 9th, a little mixture here and there. And I will have everything linked in the description box below if you want to. But you know what? You can use whatever cardstocks you have. And if you didn't want to cut all these different little pieces, another idea I had was to cut strips. You could strip it up behind the butterflies. Or you could just do like one solid color behind. You don't have to make it complicated. I tend to lean towards making it complicated. I don't know why. But I usually am most of the time trying to find a way to pack in as much color as humanly possible because it just tickles my fancy. Okay, so cutting little squares. Now, I'm not adhering anything down. I'm just making sure I have the right size to cover it. And then I'm going to use tape runner to tape these all down, and then I'll trim off the excess hanging off the sides. If you wanted to go a step further, after you adhere all these little slivers down, you could then back your cover plate with acetate and still make it a shaker with some clear sequins, and that would be double gorgeous interactive shaker happiness. But I decided not to do the shaker option, but it's always there. It's always there for you if you want it. Using some Simon Says Stamp tape runner to just quickly adhere all these down. You could also use liquid glue, whatever type of adhesive you love to use. Okay, so this is the nice thing about the redneck flap technique is I flip and flap that thing back and forth 1,000 times. Basically, I'm trying to make sure that my little squares don't get into another square. Does that make sense? I only want one color per butterfly. So you got to be a little bit strategic. And that's where the redneck flap technique comes in mighty handy. Okay, working my way through the butterfly rainbow. I had an idea, my daughter and I, we had this idea. We're like, what if we start an Etsy shop with our own custom t-shirts, and we could just make all the fun phrases that we've ever wanted to have on t-shirts? And I'm like, let's do it. Because there was about a month ago, my youngest daughter, Emma, got invited to a birthday party. And the girl who was having a birthday party, her favorite thing in the whole world is horses. So I really wanted to get her a horse t-shirt. So I went looking online. Of course, you always end up on Etsy for horse t-shirts for girls. I ended up finding one for her, and it says, I love horses, naps, and like 3 other people. And it made me chuckle. And she loved it, by the way. My daughter says she wore it to school all the time. I'm like, we need one of these shirts forever. Like, I need one that says, I love card making, naps, and like 3 other people. And then my daughter loves hockey, so she probably I like hockey, naps, and like 3 other people. You could customize for every interest. And then my daughter was like, Mom, how about your card making catchphrases? You could do dimension is life. Although I'm not sure if that would work on a t-shirt. Might not work. Dimension is life. But anyway, it's a thought we had about starting our own t-shirt company. Sometimes when we go for walks, we just we brainstorm. Okay, I pulled out the guillotine trimmer here, and I'm just snipping off all that excess that's hanging over the sides of this white card base. I love using the guillotine. You can also use a nice pair of scissors, but sometimes I have trouble cutting nice and straight with scissors. I get a little wiggly, but the old guillotine, she'll cut it straight. Tell you that much. Now, I do want to pop this up because I love the bit of shadow, but here's where you could customize it if you want to turn it into a shaker. Now's the time. I'm going to flip this over and add some foam tape. Now, a lot of different ways you could do this with foam tape. If you want to use the 3D foam squares, or you can use a Big Mama foam roll. But what I gravitate for when I'm using cover dies is these foam adhesive strips. They're pre-trimmed foam strips. These ones I'm using here are by Waffle Flower, but there are a lot of different brands, and they all work beautifully. These are so handy to have, especially when you're making shaker cards. But even this card is not going to be a shaker, but it still makes it so easy to add little strips of foam around the edge of this cover plate. And then I'll add a little bit in the middle, just a few strips in the middle, because you don't want a saggy middle. Speaking of saggy middle, I am on the hunt. This is probably too much information. I need a good pair of tummy control underwear. Speaking of saggy middles. Okay, I'm not going to say any more about that one. Okay, popping this panel. I went too far, and I apologize. Popping this panel up on top of these colorful squares. I don't know about you, but this makes me so happy. I pulled out an oldie but a goodie, the CZ Hello Die. She's not a new one, but she is a classic. I'm doing it out of VELLUM and matte gold cardstock. My classic recipe, VELLUM and matte gold. And then to give it a little dimension, I went ahead and die cut 2 more hellos just out of white cardstock. I'm going to stack them up. I'm just using my liquid glue a little bit. You don't want too much glue, a little bit. You could also use the micro dot adhesive sheets. Those work beautifully for stacking up die cuts. I only did 2 out of white, and then I'm going to add glue to the top of that, top it off with that matte gold hello die cut, and then I will flip it over, add glue to the back side, and adhere this to the vellum shadow. The reason I love to do a vellum shadow is that it gives you that separation, but you can see through it, so it doesn't cover up your beautiful background. That's why I love vellum. And the reason I love matte gold is because it's fancy schmancy, and it makes me feel like I'm hoity-toity. Okay, I did put little slivers of foam tape to pop this up. You know why? Because dimension is life. Now, for a little bit of embellishment, my favorites right now are the Concord 9th. I believe they're called dewdrops. But there's a lot of different brands of these little dewdrops or clear drops, and they all work great. They all work great. Get yourself some dewdrops, and you'll just have a day. Okay, this card is finished. I'm sending you some rainbow colorful balloon hello hugs. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.